Welcome to Bluegrass Brooklyn, our podcast all about the music we love, straight from the Bluegrass borough of Brooklyn, New York.
She didn't see the bottom till she was standing on it. One dream down, the only one that she wanted. The smiles and the lies.
Hello and welcome. I'm your co-host, Liz Wolfe.
And I'm Mike Wilner.
And today we are thrilled to have on as a guest Barrett Smith of the Steep Canyon Rangers. And personally, I still remember a show that I saw at Gray Fox nearly 10 years ago when I saw them for the first time. And I still remember what an awesome show that was. And at that time, it was sort of like, whoa, the Steep Canyon Rangers, they play with Steve Martin. But as we have learned, they are an incredible band that stands on their own. And he had a lot of really interesting things to say.
Yeah, I really enjoyed meeting Barrett and enjoy so much the music they play with Steve, as well as their own long discography. So, Liz, what do you have going on?
You know, I went over the summer calendar with my husband the other day, my bluegrass widower husband, and starting with Telluride in June, of course, Gray Fox, and then I'll be at Podunk. That's a great festival that's happening locally. And then I will also be at Wind Gap, AFBA Festival, and I will polish off my summer at the Silver Bay Camp, which is the Warnick Method Camp. You should definitely look that up, especially if you're looking to have a wonderful week at a bluegrass camp, really getting better at jamming.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like a busy schedule. Should be fun. Yeah. For myself, hyper locally here in Brooklyn, on May 7th through 10th is the Swamp in the City Cajun and Creole Music Festival in Red Hook. So all the best Cajun and Creole musicians, basically Louisiana's coming up north, and they're going to set up camp in Red Hook, and you can see them all, and there's going to be food and dancing and music. It's going to be a great time. And on May 5th, our very own Liz Wolfe appears with her band, the City College Pickers, at 9 p.m. at Mary O's on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, 32 Avenue A. That's going to be fun. Also, on Saturday, May 9th, the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music is having its annual Open Stages, which is a very cool free music festival in Park Slope, Brooklyn, from 3 to 6 p.m. You can wander around, hear some incredible bands, local bands, some headliners. And check the program notes for information.
And don't forget to follow us not only on all our social media under Bluegrass Brooklyn, Brooklyn spelled BKLYN, but of course, follow, like, and subscribe and share our podcast so we can spread bluegrass all the world over.
Absolutely. Okay, Liz, anything else?
No, let's listen to the episode.
All right, let's roll. So here we are with Barrett Smith from the Steep Canyon Rangers. Barrett, thanks for taking time with us today.
Thanks for taking time with me.
Yeah. Now, you're on the road, and as you had mentioned, you're frequently on the road, but where are you today?
Baton Rouge, Louisiana today.
Yeah. Does that mean somewhere else tomorrow?
Yeah. We move fast and often. So yeah, we're in Baton Rouge. We'll be in New Orleans tomorrow, and then we'll head into Texas.
So can you tell me a little bit about your musical experience down there in the deep South, like Louisiana, Texas?
Well, we're Southerners here in the band. We're Southeasterners. We're from West North Carolina, Asheville area. And here we are down here in Louisiana, which is, this is all the South for sure. But it's a way different flavor over here in Louisiana. And then honestly, when we head into Texas, a whole different flavor over there as well. And to us, being down here is important because culturally, this is such a melting pot cauldron for like what has made American music art really great. So much of it actually just originates from this area down here, with New Orleans being such a cosmopolitan mega city culturally all through the 1800s, and the way that black and white really mixed just right here in this area, not to mention the Cajun culture and all those people who came from way up north and strangely ended up here It's just very rich and very strange.
I had great opportunity to travel around a bit for the podcast, and that also means I have a fiddle under my arm, and I'll walk into some jam in Charlotte, North Carolina, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in you name it, right? And I've always found myself quite welcome and quite included. And I'm just a fair to middling fiddle player, so I'm not knocking anybody's socks off with my playing, but people are always very happy to have me there. I've always felt that the music brought me into the community almost seamlessly. What's it like for you, as you say, as Southeasterners, being in the Deep South and mixing in with people there?
In a way, it's like it is everywhere we go in the country, and really actually in the world for that matter, but let's just say in the country. I mean, people are welcoming and people want to have a good time and connect just by nature. And if they get their head out of their phone and have ideas of their own, human ideas, then those human ideas very often tend to be connective. Not that everybody has to get along all the time. That's not the way it is. But generally, we're a cooperative species. When the Steep Canyon Rangers show up, and like we get off of our gig or sound check and we go to a jam or drop in at the bar or just walking around town, it's like, yeah, we connect. And that's not because there's anything necessarily special about us. It's just the way people are. And we're losing sight of that rapidly in this country as we're being increasingly convinced that the person next to you is your enemy. There's a divide and conquer thing going on. And we're trying to counter that. We're trying to unite and conquer. And honestly, that's one thing that's really special about this band is that, I mean, we think that, as is often the case with bluegrass music, we tend to attract a crowd that is politically pretty diverse. In the spectrum of like conservative and liberal, people across that spectrum end up sitting next to each other and dancing next to each other and stuff at our shows. And in our mind, we think looking at each other and saying, oh yeah, this is better. We have a lot in common, actually.
I have a flip side of that experience. I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And I tell people I'm from the Deep South because where I live in Brooklyn is in the Deep South of Brooklyn in Bay Ridge. But I'm a New Yorker, and I know that New York is generally portrayed in a relatively negative way in some parts of the country. And yet we have people who come here, especially musicians from all different parts of the country, and always say the same thing. I've never been treated better, had a better time, felt more welcome, all of that kind of thing. So I just think we get the opportunity to be each other's angels. We should always do that.
Absolutely.
What holds a band like Steep Canyon Rangers? You've been with the band almost 10 years, eight or 9 years at this point.
Yeah.
The founder's been there from the beginning, and we're now pushing 30 years. How does a band stay together for that long?
Yeah, we're a real study in that. Not many bands stay together this long. I think it's a lot of the things that keep any kind of organization of any kind together this long happily. It's like really looking out for each other. It's like a family, and it operates that way. And I think you have to throw into the pot as well, like things have gone well for us. Like you've been given the opportunity to make the kind of music that we want to make and to make money doing it and to still draw crowds doing it. That gets a little into I wouldn't know how to advise some young band because it just kind of fortunate in that way. I mean, we work really hard and we're really serious about it. And it seems to have also just kind of worked out for us because here we are continuing to make the art that we want to make just the way we want to do it. And people keep coming. And so we keep doing it.
You raise an interesting point, which is, what do you think is different about a band starting out in 2000, 2004, and a young band trying to start out in 2026?
Two things immediately. One is that physical music sales is out the window.
Yeah.
And if you'd have said that, 20 years ago, we would have been like, how do you function if you can't sell CDs or records or tapes or stuff? That is not viable. And then secondly, just social media, but that suddenly that your whole marketing, everything about marketing is now so vastly different than it used to be.
Yeah.
And often in a good way because you have the means to take control of it yourself.
Yeah. What I'm interested to know is you guys spend a lot of time on the road and you've done a lot of recording, and that's not that usual. You're saying you're sort of in constant tour mode, but you've got quite a discography. What was your transition from bandstand to studio? How did that happen?
The band started recording early on, way before I was in the band. But strangely, even though I've only been in the band for like, I guess coming on 10 years, something like that, I've been with the band very close since the very beginning. The band started in Chapelville, North Carolina. And it was like a handful of students at the university. I was in the music department at UNC as a classical guitar player. And we just became friends, the guys who have formed this band and I. So I was there very close with them right from the beginning. So I saw that transition. And it wasn't so much from the bandstand to the studio as much as it was just from the bar gig. Although at that time, they were like so passionate about traditional bluegrass music that by the time started recording, already had their sights set on like the local, very traditional bluegrass festivals and the southeastern like bluegrass, very traditional world. So like matching suits and singing into one microphone and keeping it as true to the tradition as possible and gradually gaining the respect of those heroes to us anyway at the time. And since we started collaborating with Steve Martin all those years ago, that's a whole different sector of what we do. And in that sector, we end up getting around famous people who are not just famous, but really great at what they do. And I've been really shocked, not having previously been around so many great artists who are also famous. I've been really shocked for the reputation that celebrities have of being so whatever, not good. Everybody who's really great at what they do, who I've come in contact with, I've just over and over been like, I can't believe how cool you are. I can't believe how cool you are. You're just really great at what you do, and you don't have a chip on your shoulder or anything to prove. I think that carries over into the bluegrass world as well.
Sure.
If you meet Jerry Douglas or Sam Bush or Jason Carter or whoever, it's like, oh yeah, this person doesn't have much to prove. They're not prickly. They're really fun to hang out with and cool and welcoming and good people.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you a couple of difficult questions. First of all, do you have any favorite songs or albums from the Steve Canyon Rangers that like things that stick in your head?
Yeah, it's called Next Act. Honestly, that one, we keep saying amongst ourselves, like, I think this is the best album we've made.
Wow.
2 albums ago, Arm in Arm, I was new in the band when we made that one, and I think it's really good. And it's kind of like really, for us, like experimental. There are a lot of noises in it that aren't typically part of the bluegrass deal, which was fun for us. We kind of dialed that back, and now this album coming out, it was very much acoustic and a string band album, back to where we started. I'd say those two. And then the last one, Morning Shift, is really good too. I'm attracted to those a little more because I'm a part of them and I saw them being made. And because I just feel really proud of them. I've been in the studio with the band on previous albums, just kind of hanging out because we were all close. They're all special in their own way, for sure. But these last 3, they're definitely my favorites.
Give me the elevator speech version of how you got involved with playing bass, because you mentioned classical guitar, but how is it you're playing a bass?
Well, yeah, the elevator version of that is like the world. There's a much higher demand for upright bass players than there is for guitar players in general. That's it. So, I mean, I started playing bass because I honestly, like, one kind of crossed my path years and years ago, and I bought it for $500. And it sat in my house, and it was just there when there were jams and stuff. I would get it out, and then I had a band called Town Mountain that just broke up. Great band from Asheville who was around forever too. And I started that band. They needed a bass player. They were going on a tour. And that was my first real gig as a bass player, is going out on the road with this bluegrass band, Town Mountain. And then I quickly realized, like once I realized that I could actually pull that off and be employable, at least as a bluegrass bass player,
right,
all of a sudden it opened a lot of opportunities, like employment opportunities, including this band. It's maybe not quite as glamorous sometimes as
So here's the hard question. Mount Rushmore is 4 iconic individuals. And if I was to ask you to choose your Mount Rushmore of bass players, doesn't have to be the most famous, but the ones that had most influence on your style and you personally, who would you put on your Mount Rushmore? But only 4 names.
Okay. Just me personally, just
Yeah.
like
Yep.
what
To your own Mount.
bass players, bluegrass bass players.
Yep. If that's too limited, since you're a vocalist as well, you could throw vocalists in there as well.
No, that'll get too big.
Yeah.
Bass players, right off the bat, definitely Edgar Meyer.
And why?
Well, he's a great artist. Just straight up, I revere the way he plays and what he's accomplished and the beauty and the virtuosity of it. Then beyond that, like Victor Krause is great. Mike Bub
Mike is great. We love Mike.
is awesome. And then fourth, who would I
You got some great women to choose from there also.
There are great women to choose from. And it would be nice to have a woman on Mount Rushmore, wouldn't it?
That would be a nice.
Missy's great. Yeah, sure.
He's,
My memory of her from years past was like really taking on some really great young players.
Yeah.
And working them into what she did and giving them a chance to shine and giving them a chance to collaborate together. And that was always really exciting for me to watch in her bands.
I can't tell you how many women musicians, which we fortunately have more of today in bluegrass, say,
Yeah.
I saw Missy Raines on stage. And when I saw her doing that, I said, well, why can't I do that too? I can be up there too. And then
Oh yeah.
we've got a whole generation coming up
I know.
thanks to that.
Good God, half of bluegrass players in the world should be women.
You would think, right?
Or just statistically, that should be a little closer to it. Why is it that, it doesn't make any sense that it's this lopsided?
I got to speak to Olo de Mer from the Vent du Nord, which is this great Quebecois band. And I asked him how he would define violin versus fiddle. He said, well, violinists, he would say the difference really is they're classically trained. They're trained to read music and play in large orchestras, whereas fiddle players don't usually have that training. They're play by ear, oral tradition, and are used to playing in string band environment. But what we see a lot of is people crossing over. Like, I don't know if I see that many orchestral bass players saying, oh, I'm going to chuck in my white tie and tails and I'm going to go thump a wash basin bass somewhere. But a lot of violin players find their way into fiddling.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I like. That's one of the things that I like about Edgar Meyer so much is that he did that. He was a very accomplished bass player, classical. I mean, really, really great, right? And his whole journey into what he found to like about bluegrass music and meeting Bela Fleck and them kind of taking off together and Bela tapping in, understanding like, oh God, I have found something great here. And then all those guys giving Edgar Meyer the space to be as great as he is and to influence the music. I love the way he plays and of course in the way, not just that he's so great at it because he is, but the sense of beauty that is in what he does is really, to me, is really great. That's what I love it.
Let's talk a little bit about the album. I'm always interested in understanding if there's a unifying vision or theme or kind of mindset that went into the album, is rather than just saying, we like these 5 songs, or 8 songs or whatever. How did this one come together?
This one, okay, it's original music that we do. We got 2 guys in the band who write a lot. And then the band itself becomes this big arranging machine of their songs. We're very collaborative in the way that all goes down. So we had a big old pile of songs for one thing. That's how it starts. Like, all right, we have so many songs, it's time to make an album. But with this album, we had spent so much time and had so much fun, like really stretching the boundaries of bluegrass and adding different instrumentation and having the song structured differently. And like, while we've always called ourselves a bluegrass band, it's like there were some electric instruments and
drums, which is
and drums. For a traditionalist, you come to this bluegrass show and you're like, I don't know, it doesn't sound like bluegrass to me. Which, whatever, like I've said, that's just what we wanted to do. And so that's what we did. But with this album, we had been heading for a while towards re-engaging with being like a string band more.
Yeah, cool.
So it turns out like the guy who plays drums for us, Mike Ashworth, is really, really great at a lot of instruments. He's a great guitar player, for sure. He's turned out to be a really great dobro player.
Interesting.
So yeah, he's really good. And so the drummer just becomes the dobro player. And then also, while we might do away with the big old drum set with all of its noise, rock and roll majesty, which we love, we still might have a little bit of percussion,
Yeah.
like small, like a cajon or like just more little percussion. So it'll still be a percussionist. Anyway, to answer your question, I'd say that's a big theme of this album. It's like we got all these really good songs. Let's put them back in the string format and get back to some version of what we started with.
Nice. I know in Cajun music, there's like a critical factor is the triangle, the T-fret going in the background, right?
Right.
That drives the show. It's sort of like the Mando chop of the.
Isn't that cool?
It's so very cool. I love it. I appreciate the fact that percussion is really in there. It's just what happens. We were talking a little bit about one microphone. What happens a lot in venues here in the city, at least, is you get sound engineers, and I guess I'm making air quotes around the engineer's part. They know how to mic a rock band. They know make the drums real loud, make the bass real loud. So then a string band gets on the stage, and maybe they even have a kick drum. And that kick drum is like overwhelming, and the bass players vibrating the walls.
Tapping into the way we, as bluegrass musicians, want the sound to be is like, that's hard if you're not coming from the same place.
Very true. Now, since we're on the topic, how do you guys do your sound? Is it individual, just direct play mics, or do you do direct input to amps? How do you work it out?
We do different things. We have a really nice, big, like large diaphragm microphone that we use a lot, that we just kind of crowd around. We love it, and we use it, in pretty much every show, and especially these days since we're kind of doing stringier things and less of that big sound. Sometimes if the venue like calls for it, we'll do a whole show just crowded around that mic. But we also have, in my mind, pretty sophisticated kind of like wireless deal where each instrument, let me think. Yeah, almost all the instruments have a direct, like have a pickup. All right. And then some kind of preamp that's making it sound as much like naturally like the instrument as possible. Nikki on the fiddle has a little DPA mic, so he's playing through a microphone. The dobro has a little DPA little microphone like that as well.
Nice.
The guitar is going direct. Mandolin's going direct. I have a pickup on my bass.
All right.
Yeah, it's a combination of the big microphone and then the direct stuff.
Getting the right sound for an acoustic band is so hard. It's a fine art.
Yeah, I know. God, we think about it a lot and trying to get the bass to sound like the way it does just in the room. That's what I want. And that's,
Yep.
Oh, Mark Schatz.
Sorry.
I like Mark Schatz. I don't know if I'm going to kick off of my Rushmore here, but Mark Schatz.
We'll let you have someone around the side.
Okay, yeah. And Todd Phillips. Now
you go really running
and
over.
Paul Cowart. And Paul Cowart's great. He's kind of in my mind, he's like in that lineage with Edgar Meyer and studied at the same school where Edgar Meyer and comes from the classical world.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah.
Interesting.
I just remember when I was thinking about trying to make the bass sound really nice, suddenly I just thought of Mark Schatz. But yeah, we struggle with it all the time, trying to get it to sound really warm and clear and like we're in the room.
So let's go back a bit. You mentioned your collaboration with Steve Martin. How did that come into existence? I know he's an incredible banjo player, but there's more than just playing on stage together to collaborate. So tell us how it started and how you find that experience.
It started because we just had some people in common. Like Anne, who he married, was a friend of ours. And there were some other strange little connections. And then there was just one night where I wasn't there, but there were a couple of us went and met him and played some music with him. And like, kind of one thing led to another. That's how it started anyway. And that experience has been very positive for all of us.
I bet.
He's, of course, like this iconic American cultural figure.
Yep.
Which is awesome to be around. Just that is cool. But Steve is a really good guy, and he's real serious about like honing his craft. And
he's a hell of a player.
Likes to have a good time. and just all of it. I couldn't ask for a better collaborator, kind of mentor, really, than him. He's been just great for us.
I imagine he brings some of his own material to the band, meaning in terms of written material.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he composes. To me, that's what's like most interesting about him musically, is that he has a real strange and cool compositional flair.
And some
So
of
he
it's just
writes.
instrumental too. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
even,
a lot of it's just instrumental. That's the stuff that it comes into the vocal music as well. But musically, that's what is, to me, most interesting. In the bluegrass world, I like instrumental composition. That's always been like one of the things that drew me to it the most, which is why I like Edgar Meyer so much, because that Strength in Numbers album, and then Skip Hop and Wobble, and these really kind of progressive compositionally bluegrass instrumentation things really caught my attention, and I loved them. And so Steve comes along, and I mean, for one thing, he's Steve Martin, and he's like this iconic figure. That's exciting.
right.
But then when I started really digging into what he was doing compositionally, I was like, oh, okay, I don't care who you are. That stuff's very interesting and pretty and beautiful and clever and cool.
Yeah, that's cool. When the music takes over and it just doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or just Joe Blow.
Man, that's him. That's him 100%, because he's real serious about it. There's a humility there in him that's very commendable, to the way how humble he is around other bluegrass musicians, and how respectful he is, and he just loves it. And so he's a good person. So in spite of all that fame and cultural significance, and he's just a very important person in our world,
That's great.
he really gets down on the level musically, and connects with whoever he's around very respectfully, and it's great to watch.
Do you have hopes of collaborating with any other musicians or particular?
Me personally,
Yeah.
for the band, yeah.
Well, I guess both.
God, so many. One of the great things about the band to me is the opportunity, like collaborating with Steve and Martin Short. Also, they come as a package. Like
What does Martin plays?
big. He sings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a great singer. Part of where he comes from is a musical theater thing, and he loves the crew. He loves like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Tony Bennett and that whole crew. He is a beautiful singer. That's pretty awesome to be around with him. And like Steve, he's also just a really cool artist and a cool guy, and really nice to be around. So that's been really fun. But aside from that, we've gotten the chance to collaborate with these people who, to us, are like, in the bluegrass world, they're a really big deal to us. And there was a time where we couldn't imagine sharing a stage with Del McCurry, for
Yeah, how
example.
about that?
And you're on the stage, and there's Del McCurry next to you. That is a thrill. That's a real thrill. And that's happened time and time again with the band. But moving forward, since I've been in the band, we haven't played on a stage with Bela. And I'd like that, because I hold him up kind of like the way I hold Edgar Meyer up. I really, really like Bela Fleck and his music, and I like him.
Yeah.
And so much as I know him personally, I think he's just tremendous. And I'd love to get the opportunity to play some music with him, which I haven't. And then Billy Strings. It would be like, we have played on stage with him at some point, but he's just got such a phenomenal thing going that has never been seen in the world of bluegrass. And it'd be cool to be more a part of that really exciting thing that's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's a great musician too, of course. But just the momentum of what he's doing is so exciting.
I got to see him at City Winery, which is odd sounding venue, but it's a very good music venue.
Yeah, we've played there.
Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of intimate, but it's not tiny.
Nice.
Him and Chris Thiele.
Ooh, Lord.
And the first half of the show is Chris with somebody else who playing a lot of experimental progressive music. I'm like, frankly, I'm sitting there going, look, I spent years playing the recorder. Now, there's more music written for the recorder from 1960 on than there was written in the entire Baroque period, because there's opportunities for a lot of experimental music, and a lot of it's what I call musicians' music. Means it's fascinating to play, but it's not fun to listen to. It's nothing you really want to listen to. And it was like that kind of music. I'm like, oh, great. Then Billy came out, 2 hours of straight ahead bluegrass with him. Absolutely amazing. And he was so personal. He took his shoes off. He didn't want to dance and all this other
he's
stuff.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing show. But those kinds of collaborations are always very energizing and when they work out. Before we go, I want to make sure we talk a little bit about what's your tour schedule look like for the middle of the year.
That's kind of coming in on festival season.
Oh, yeah.
We love festivals. We love playing festivals. That's probably our favorite thing to do, I'd say.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I'm trying to think of the festivals that we're playing this year. We'll be at Merle Fest, Rocky Grass. We're going to that Kerrville Festival in Texas, which I've never been to.
Kerrville?
It's like the Kerrville like Songwriters Festival or something. It's big.
Wow.
It's supposed to be great. I've never actually been to it.
So you guys actually host festivals. Tell me a little bit about what you got coming up.
So we got 2 festivals that we host. The one that's coming up the soonest is Birdfest. This is in kind of in the middle of nowhere in South Carolina, between Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina. A really beautiful spot out in the country. And this is a festival that we completely curate and host this thing. So we play Friday night, we play Saturday night, and then we got like just a whole slew of bands that the Steve Canyon Rangers puts together, like the lineup for this.
Interesting.
So
that must be fun.
It's great. It's a really cool way for us to connect with the people we see all over the country, and we get to invite them and have them. We all get to collaborate and sit in with each other and all that. It's a great fun. It's a Steve Canyon Rangers festival, Birdfest. So like this year we got Dan Tominski coming with his band, the Dan Tominski Band. Trey Hensley now.
Yeah, Trey's amazing.
He's amazing, and he now he's doing things, different things, and one of those is he just has a bluegrass band now.
Did you see Trey and Roy Clark when Trey was a kid doing dueling banjos? It's on YouTube. He's like 11.
Oh, I need to see that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's absolutely wonderful.
So the other one that we have is called Mountain Song Festival. That one's in Brevard, North Carolina, which is just outside of Asheville. That's a great festival. We're the host band as well with that. And that one is really special for, among other reasons. It's a big benefit for the Boys and Girls Club of Transylvania County, which is the county that Brevard, North Carolina is in. And we've raised over the years, I don't know, like millions of dollars.
That's great.
For the Boys and Girls Club. It's really special. So we have all these really great sponsors.
Before we go, I got to ask you, who's the organizational genius who holds all this together? Because somebody's planning all these tours. Somebody's organizing the studio time for the album, the release of the albums, and somebody's setting up these.
Yeah. A band like us, typically will have like a booking agent and a manager. That's the typical kind of format, and maybe some other people. But we've been doing this for so long, and for long swaths of that time, we've like even done the booking ourselves, but certainly the management we've done ourselves. Right now, we do have a booking agent, our old friend John Everhart at New Frontier, and he does a great job. And we have a manager, our old friend Stacy Claude in Asheville, and she's our manager. She's the central node for everything. So everything kind of goes through her. But we are pretty hands-on as far as bands go.
Interesting.
Like when I say we run this festival, I mean like I'm sending those emails out to the bands and what do you need for sound, and we do take the green M&Ms out of the bowl and all that stuff.
That's right.
We're hands-on as a band. We have a lot of good help. We got a great team. We do a lot of stuff ourselves.
That is amazing. You guys represent like every facet. You're on the road, you're on the bandstand for the festivals, you're in the studio, you're in the jam circle, it sounds like, when you're not doing all that other stuff. So
yeah, we love to pick. And in the midst of all of it, we just love to pick. So it's like, I'll here in Baton Rouge, I'll sign off here and I'll pick up an instrument and start playing. That
is really the spirit of bluegrass there. All right, Barrett, it's been a fascinating conversation. Really appreciate the time.
I really appreciate it too.
And we look forward to seeing you around the festival circuit and who knows where else.
Yeah. Right, thanks. Appreciate it.
She said, for my next act, I'm not acting for anyone. Hold to the love that's held me true. For my next act, I'm gonna have
did a great job with that interview, Mike. You had a wide-ranging discussion with him about so many interesting topics. Of course, always loving the bass. But my favorite moment was when he sort of matter-of-factly was like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. There's 50-50 women to men in the world. Why don't we have 50-50 women and men in bluegrass? So that is a mystery we will continue to unravel.
That's right. Well, you know, I actually played a little bass in a jam the other day, and someone said, "How'd your first bass lesson go, Mike?" I said, "I had to cancel it. I had a bass gig." But the way he came to playing bass, it's like, well, everybody needs a bass player and I need work, so I took up the bass. I thought it was very pragmatic and really enjoyed Barrett a lot.
Keep up to date with all the episodes that are happening. Bluegrassbrooklyn.com, BKLYN. You can like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast, as well as follow us on social media.
Yep. And if you'd like to drop us a line, make a comment, a suggestion, or ask a question, send an email to mike@bluegrassbrooklyn.com. We promise we'll respond. And if you're looking for jams in Uptown Manhattan, Bronx, Riverdale, New Jersey, and increasingly around the country and world, go take a look at bluegrassjamsnearme.com. So Liz, anything else?
No, thanks so much.
And we look forward to seeing you around the jam circle.
One false step is all that you get when you're living out on the edge. Feeling strong as a speeding train, flying full steam ahead, a speeding train. Circling the drain, going round and round and down, down, down.